So moving on, let's talk about fiat currency and how that's different, how that contrasts with gold.
The fiat currency is a relatively new invention in the last 120 or so years. The reason that we got fiat currency is that now we had powerful nation states and they wanted to be able to redirect arbitrary portions of the economy to whatever causes the politicians wanted. And prior to fiat money, for example, if you wanted to start a war, what politicians would do is they would have to raise the money either through raising taxes, which is quite difficult in a short term, or by borrowing debt. So they would go to a banker, they would borrow the physical gold, and they would use that gold to pay the soldiers and to pay to make new cannons, etc., and have a war. So with the rise of powerful governments, they didn't want to go through all that hassle. And what they did instead is they unlinked the money from the gold, and now they could create arbitrary amounts of money and use that to redirect arbitrary portions of the economy to whatever causes they support it.
So with fiat currency, it has value because the government says it does, and usually because they require payment of mandatory taxes in that fiat
Mm-hmm.
currency. But they can go and print it virtually unlimited and cause as much inflation as they want. And when they do, they don't necessarily, often they rarely, in fact, add new value to the economy when they do. So it has a pretty big inflationary effect in that they're growing the money supply without adding value. And when they grow that money supply without adding value, that creates inflation because the purchasing power of your dollar is relative to how many dollars are in existence because we've got a finite scarcity, an absolute scarcity when it comes to goods in the marketplace. So
It's
the
important to understand that inflation is never uniform. It's never a broad increase in money supply. Inflation always begins by politicians creating new money and giving it to some group.
Yeah, and so when you've got this inflation and the government's giving out money, the first people in line to get that money benefit because the full effect of the increase in money supply hasn't hit your purchasing power or your
Mm-hmm.
saving power yet. This is called the Cantillon effect. And when the money does come into the marketplace, because money initially doesn't have neutrality because of the order of goods, and I'll send a link to the episode about the higher order of goods in Austrian economics, but because of that, the money doesn't hit the goods and services equally. And so, with great power comes great responsibility. And so their friends in the banking industry and other industries end up getting the money first and get the full benefit of that money before it hits the economy. Hello, I'm Anthony Coleman. Thank you for watching this clip. If you enjoyed this clip from my show, you can click in the upper right-hand corner to see the full episode, or you can click in the upper left-hand corner to see other clips. Thank you and welcome to the Economic Circus.